This is a test. See if the audio works. All right. Hello and welcome to the Moore County Senior Enrichment Center. Thank you all for coming. This is really a wonderful audience with this topic, and we pulled this together in a little bit over 3 weeks. So it's amazing. So I thank you all for coming today. So what happened is, well, first of all, my name is Lynn Drinkwater, and I'm the Moore County Senior Enrichment's Program Coordinator if you've never been here before. And if you have never been here before, if you need to use the restroom, out the doors and to the left. But thank you all for coming. And so Captain Bradley Whitaker sent me an email saying he'd like to do a scam presentation. And I said, well, we already had the newsletter put together for August, but we can work it out. And we did put the air on, so sorry about that. It was very chilly in here when we first started, and I figured people would be getting their sweaters out. So now, of course, it's too warm. But the air conditioning is on now. So when Captain Bradley Whitaker came to me and said he wanted to do a program, not only by himself, but also with J.D. Woodard, who's an IT expert, we put it together, and I'm so glad you guys came. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce both Bradley Whitaker and J.D. Woodard. Thank you so much. Do you want a microphone as well?
Thank you, Lynn.
Now, if you don't mind standing between the flags, Steve, that'll put you
Oh, yeah.
the camera. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, Bradley, you want to chat real quick with everyone before I get started with mine?
I can. My name is Bradley Whitaker. I work with the sheriff's office here, work for our sheriff, Ronnie Fields. He's a great sheriff. He was trying to make it here this afternoon, but I think he got sidetracked on another commitment, but hoping to get here at some point before we finish. But Sheriff Fields, a great sheriff to work for, and he asked that we put on some presentations trying to educate people of scams, because scams are something that we've seen an increase in the last several years, and they're getting really creative, and they're affecting a lot of people. So we wanted to put something together, and J.D. Woodard here reached out to me a while back, and I've been at the sheriff's office for right at a little over 28 years. And when I started, I was actually trained by J.D. I took his position. He trained me before he left, and has been a good friend and a wealth of knowledge. And anytime I have computer needs, I'll reach out to him, and he'll help me out and everything. But we're glad to be here. I don't know that we'll have all the answers, but we hope to just give enough information so that we can just educate you, things to look for, things to be cautious about. Hopefully, minimize the threats of scams to you. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Bradley. Everyone, first thing I would like to say is the size of this room with the number of you that are here just warms my heart. I tell you, when I was talking to Bradley about doing this, I was thinking, we'll do this at a few places. Maybe we have 10 or 15 people show up at each site. I don't need that many flyers. And then Lynn sends us an email and says, oh, yeah, around 80 people signed up. I'm like, okay. So to hear me speak, okay, that's great. That's wonderful. Thank you all for being here. Before I formally introduce myself, I would like to say something as far as scams are concerned. People who fall victim to scams, whether you realize you've been a victim through what I'm going to present here, or someone who's been a victim of a scam, please understand you're not stupid, you're not dumb, you're falling for an actual professional criminal who's committing a crime. Okay? You're victims of a crime. Too often in our society, we sit here and belittle and talk bad about people who fall victim to scams. I'm not here for that. I fight totally against that, because these are professional criminals. These are people who train for months, live in these huge compounds, these buildings as tall as 10 stories, with rooms full of people who are trained there to scam you. So don't feel bad if you realize you've been a victim of a scam. That's the first thing I wanted to say, okay? We're just here to help you realize what potentially is a scam and how to deal with it if you find yourself in a scam or you have a relative who's been a victim of a scam, okay? That's what we're here for. A little bit about me. I've been in IT almost 30 years now. I work in information security, dealing with the U.S. government. I'm a reservist for Homeland Security, work with FEMA. I also deal with healthcare IT, securing your healthcare data. So I've been working in this field for a little while. My first job in IT, I worked for a internet service provider doing support for dial-up networking. That tells you how long I've been in it. So yeah, I know a little bit. It's been a little while, but that's me. We're going to go and get started. This program I put together is called Scam Busters. So basically what I want to do is educate everyone in here to be a scam buster, meaning that you're going to see these scams come at you and you're going to be like, that guy JD said could be a scam. I'm not going to click on that. Or I'm not going to answer that phone call. And this text message that says I have to pay that toll, nope. This text message that says I have an outstanding ticket that Captain Whitaker is going to come and get me for, nope. I tell you this much, if Captain Whitaker needs to get you for a ticket or for jury duty, he'll show up at your house, okay? You're not going to get an email. You're not going to get this crazy phone call demanding you pay with gift cards or you run around town or something like that. No, they're not going to do that, okay? All right, so we're going to get started. I thought Scam Busters was a good title for this, and you'll see why. First slide, we're going to go over are common apps that are out there on the wild. You're going to recognize most of these icons, but I want you to really pay attention and think about who you communicate with. Are these people that you personally know in real life? Are these people that all of a sudden showed up in your life online? Are these people who've come into your life showing that a great amount of affection, acting like, you're the love of their life, they just met you and all stuff like that? That's called love bombing. So a lot of these scammers do that. And what they will do is they'll meet you on a dating app, or they'll meet you on one of the common social media carriers like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Discord. And then what they do, and this is one way you can tell, is they have you move off platform, meaning they have you go to one of these apps, whether it's Telegram, WhatsApp, or Zangy. I can tell you, whoever you're talking to, if you're talking to somebody that you've never met before, that's the key, that you've never met before, and they're trying to communicate with you on one of these apps, you should be very careful. I don't care who they say they are. If they're trying to communicate with you on one of these apps, especially this one, you're dealing with a scammer. You're dealing with a scammer. Especially this one. If they claim they live in the U.S. and, they live in like California or they live in South Carolina or something, and they're trying to communicate with you on WhatsApp or even Telegram, scammer. I can flat out tell you they're a scammer. So think about the people you talk to most in life. If you talk to them virtually or online, if they're using one of these three apps and you do not know them personally, 99.99999% they're a scammer. And I'm just going to tell you that. I don't care what they say, especially, like I said, this Zangy. If you're talking to someone on Zangy, they're not real. They're trying to steal from you. Okay, some information about scams. In the United States, in 2024, the Federal Bureau of Investigation reported America losing $16.6 billion due to scams. And that's up 33% from 2023. They say approximately 96% of Americans are exposed to a scam via email, phone call, text message, or social media. And this last one is what gets me. AARP estimates only 14% of scams are reported to the FBI or to the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. So that means this number right here, 16.6, if you compare that to 14%, it's a larger number in reality. So check on your family and friends. Please check on your family and friends. If you realize from this talk that you're okay, you're not a victim of a scam or in a potential situation with someone who's a scammer, please check on your friends. Make sure they're educated. That's important. The biggest thing we can do is let people know and get people to question things. So now we're going to talk about some things you can question. So these are the types of scams sources that can come out. They can come out via email. They can come out via text message, a phone call, social media, and then there's a pig butchering scam. And we're going to talk in detail about pig butchering because that's a big one. And you'll understand that name when I give more detail for you because I know it looks kind of weird. Okay, Bradley, we're going to go to some examples. So this one right here, email scams, the first one we're going to look at is a phishing attempt. So this is a phishing attempt. And basically what a phishing attempt is they're trying to get you to enter your account information into a fake website so they can access your American Express account. So if you get an email like this and review your information, there's usually some urgency to it. You have to do it now. One thing you're going to notice is it's a very generic email. There's nothing directed to you by name. They like to do that. They sit there and show an urgency. There's no email address listed here, too. So that means everyone was done what they call blind carbon copy. So they probably sent this to thousands of people. So this is an obvious fake email. If you ever have a concern with something like this, especially with your financial information, and you think based on an email, text message, phone call, or anything like that, that your account has been compromised or you feel there's a danger, on the back of your card, there's a phone number to your financial institution. Call that number for verification. Don't trust what these emails say and these websites say about calling this number or the phone message about calling this number or the text message about calling this number. Go on the back of your credit card or your ATM card and use that number. Okay, let's hit the back button there, Bradley, if you don't mind. Okay, and now we're going to go to impersonation. So this is an impersonation email from the IRS. And the cool thing about this is that this entire PowerPoint presentation, I will show my email address and I can send it to whoever wants it and get you a copy of it. I'm not one of those people that's going to sit there and hoard this information just for me. I'm going to share it with everyone. So if you want a copy of this presentation to share with your friends or for reference, I will give it to you for free, no charge whatsoever for any of that. So, okay, so this is basically an IRS scam. If you look right here, it wants you to click on that link. And what that link's going to do, going to try to get your login information to compromise your IRS account. So, okay, hit your back there, Bradley, if you don't mind. Okay, now we're going to go to refunds related to antivirus software. I'm sure everyone's seen this one right here. Okay, so this is a Norton fake refund scam. So basically what this is saying is that you have a subscription to Norton Antivirus and they're going to charge you for that subscription if you don't call this number here. It's fake. It's not real. You're not going to get charged. No, you're not going to get charged. And you can see here, it's very generic. It's not going to, it's not very specific, and it gives you a number to call. Like I said, anytime they put a number like that in these emails, no, we don't call those numbers. We only call the number on the back of our bank card or a number that we find on the internet for the law enforcement agency that's trying to reach us. We don't call the numbers that are given to us in emails. We don't call the numbers that are given to us in text. And we don't call the numbers that are given to us in phone messages.
And you can call that number and someone would answer it and say they work with Norton, but in reality, it's going to be a scammer. And sometimes they use the same numbers over and over. So they might ask, well, which company are you calling to talk to? And then they act like that they're Norton. So
They'll do that.
They've got a lot of scams going on at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Bradley's right about that. They will play on that if you call that number. That's why I say don't make contact. Just don't. I know we want to because that looked concerning, but we don't want to do it. Okay, we're going to talk about tech support scams. Okay, this is another one similar to the Norton one. It's basically saying you owe this money for Geek Squad. You notice there's no to name there. It identifies you as customer. You know, if you supposedly owed this amount of money, you think they're going to just call you customer? They're going to say, "Dear Captain Bradley Whitaker of the Moore County Sheriff's Department, thank you for choosing Geek Squad Total Protection." So it's going to be a lot more specific, but just like I told you, this is not a legitimate number. Don't call it. They're going to try to pretend to be Geek Squad, but they're not. They're scammers trying to take over your system, because what they will do typically with this scam is they'll say, well, we need to log into your computer to make sure to verify your Geek Squad protection. And they'll log into your computer, and then they'll say, you have all these viruses on your computer, and they need to clean these viruses. For them to clean the viruses, it'll cost X amount of dollars. And then you're like, well, I don't have these viruses. And they'll show fake window screens to try to get you to think that there are viruses on your computer. My second thing, besides not answering the phone calls, don't let anyone connect to your computer or your cell phone. Nobody. Not remotely, unless you know that person. Unless you're familiar with that person, you know them in person, do not let anyone you talk to over the phone connect to your computer, period. Okay? Don't do it. Please don't do it, because they're out to get you.
And this is one of those things you need to think about. Geek Squad is through Best Buy, so they're the technical support. If you go to Best Buy, if you buy a computer, you can go see the Geek Squad. But then you think, if you're getting something like this, first thing you want to think about, well, have I ever been to Geek Squad? Is this something that, and if you have been to Geek Squad and you think, well, maybe it is real, you just have to be mindful, because what they're trying to do is, like in this, they're telling you they've already charged you $500. So first thing, check your banking account, check your accounts to see if they've been automatically deducted. If it hasn't, more than likely it's a scam. And what they're trying to do is get you to call them, because they feel like, or they're trying to persuade you that they've already charged you for the money and that you have to call them to try to get your money back. And then once they get you on the phone, then they're going to, ask for your personal information so they can look you up in their computer. So, but the big key here is, think about where it's coming from. Is it something that you've dealt with? Banks, you'll see a lot of them from banks and stuff like that. If it's a bank you don't bank with, then it's pretty easy to know it's, not legitimate. But if you need to, go down to Best Buy and talk to one at Geek Squad in person.
That's it right there. We think because we get something online that we have to deal and use what number they're giving us. But what Bradley just stated, go to your store. Like if you've been a Geek Squad customer at the Best Buy in Aberdeen before, and you think this may be real from them, go to the Geek Squad at Aberdeen, Best Buy, walk in there and say, hey, did you send this to me? They'll be like, nope. So just do it. Sometimes we've gotten into this online world where we kind of keep ourselves in that online world, and it winds up hurting us because we're not thinking outside the box in a sense, and we're subscribing to the panic of seeing that amount of money being charged to our card. Okay, let's go back. Okay, now we're going to talk about the fraudulent PayPal invoices, which is similar to it. They're going to want you to sit here and think that you did all this money for Bitcoin. They're going to try to access your account and want you to give them money because they're going to recover this and make it right for you. So this is just examples. They're pretty much the same scam. They just have different faces to them, just so everyone understands. Okay, lottery prize notification. Okay, so we have won the Powerball. We got an email. We won the Powerball. What are we going to do? If we get this email saying we won the Powerball and it says you need to email this address at gmail.com, what are we going to do? Okay, we're going to delete it because Powerball is not going to be gmail.com, first of all. You think of this place, what's the Powerball now, Bradley? Like 8 million, 800 million, something like that? $800 million they're going to give to some lucky person. You think they're going to have a gmail.com email address? Nah.
And chances are you didn't even buy a ticket for the Powerball.
Yeah, that's something true too. You get this that you got this thing and you didn't even participate. So okay, all right.
Another thing too that kind of sticks out, if you start looking pretty close at it, you'll see like a lot of misspelled words.
Yeah.
Like million.
Yeah, that's true.
One, you'll see a lot of things like that. It could be someone who's overseas who's not. Grammar sometimes the wording will be kind of like if someone from overseas is talking, they don't use like just normal English. So that's always a big sign that you can look for too.
Yeah.
All right. Next.
Okay. Yeah. From Gmail. Yeah, just hit the back arrow. Oh, we can go over this. We can go over this one, Bradley. That's fine. Okay, this is a job offer one. Not many of us right now at this point in our lives are too concerned about job offers. But if you do get this job offer one, keep in mind, you probably didn't apply for the job anyway. So you think they're going to give you a job? And then I get these a lot because I'm still in the IT professional world. So I get these random emails saying that this company wants to hire me to do a job. And let me tell you a little bit about this scam, just so you would know for your sake to let people know and educate them. One thing they do with these scams is they do it's called a fake check scam. So what they will do is they will hire you for a job like you're an order processor or a data entry clerk. And they'll tell you, okay, you've gotten the job. We want you to work for us, but we need you to buy your equipment so you can do the job. But this is what they do. They send you a check. They'll email you a check or they'll send it to you by FedEx, a certified cashier's check. It says like $1,500 or no, excuse me, $3,000. And they say that includes part of your salary and the money for equipment. But what they want you to do is buy the equipment from their supplier. So they say you buy this equipment from their supplier with this check. So you take that check and they always tell you, use your mobile deposit. The reason they want you to use your mobile deposit is because most of the times the bankers will catch that it's a fake check and say, no, don't use this. But if you use your mobile deposit's not going to always detect it. And if the check looks good as far as mobile deposit's concerned, it may actually clear initially. Meaning like within 48 hours, you get a check for $10,000, 48 hours to $10,000 is showing up in your account. You're sitting there, oh, great, I can buy this equipment. So you go online using your debit card to this supplier to buy all this equipment. You pay $5,000 for the equipment. And you're like, okay, great, I'm gonna get my equipment and I keep the $5,000. Well, about 30 days later, you get a notice from your bank that check was fake. So what's going to happen? You've already you get a check, you get a negative $10,000 for the check, and then you get a negative $5,000 for the money you spent to their supplier. So they just made $5,000 off of you. So please think before you do anything like this. One of the big things I try to get people to do is question. Don't just take what you get in an email as facts or what you get in a text as facts. Please question, always. Okay. Let me see. Oops. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about text message scams. I don't really need to go over these in too much detail. except for probably the fourth one down. But the overdue toll payments, everyone's familiar with that one, right? Well, NC Quick Pass send you a text message saying you need to pay. You have an overdue toll of $80 and you can pay $4 to clear it. Will they do that? You know, the state, they're not going to give you a break. You know, if you owe the state $80, you're going to pay the state $80. They're not going to give you a good out to be able to get, you know, a little, you know, or this one's 60, you know, they're not going to give you a quick out to do that. So that's how that one works. Okay, we're not going to cover the employment opportunity one because that's similar to the email one that we went over. It's just you get an employment offer from someone via text message, and they tell you to message them on WhatsApp. So let's ask this question. You get a text message from Captain Bradley Whitaker. It says from Captain Bradley Whitaker with the Moore County Sheriff's Department. It says that the Sheriff's Department wants to hire you, or no, you have the job to be an intake officer with the Sheriff's Department. Remember, you didn't apply for this job, but they are hiring you to be an intake officer for the Sheriff's Department. And they want you to jump in and do the job immediately, but you need to contact Bradley on WhatsApp. Are we going to follow through with that? Why? He says you can call him on WhatsApp. I don't understand. You know, but the thing with WhatsApp, let me get back to WhatsApp real quick. If you're communicating with someone who lives overseas that you know personally, like I have friends in the UK, they use WhatsApp for their text messaging because it's free for international. Whereas, you know, normal domestic texting overseas will cost money. So if you have someone that you personally know that's using WhatsApp for messaging, that's normally okay, especially if they're overseas. If they're in the US, no, red flag. But if they're overseas and you know them, then you're good.
Yeah, and one reason they use some of those programs is, you know, like Telegram and stuff like that. They're from other countries, and so if we try to do a court order or try to figure out subscriber information for those accounts, they won't honor our court order. So there's not much we can do, you know, when you're dealing with those companies from overseas. So it makes it tough. And so a lot of times when they're scamming people in the United States, because oftentimes they are from overseas too, but it just makes it hard for us to be able to do anything. So that's another reason that they try to use those apps is, you know, it kind of limits some of the capabilities that we have of identifying where they're at.
Okay, so we have this message here. We got this on our text message this morning. We just woke up, drinking our cup of coffee, getting ready to watch some news on TV. We get this text message. Dear PNC customer, we have detected unauthorized activity on your account. Please call this number immediately to verify your identity and prevent further fraud. PNC customer service. Are we going to call that number? Why not? It's PNC customer service. That's what it says right there. We're not going to call it because we don't trust this. We don't trust this. What we will do, if we are concerned that there is fraud on our account based on this text message, we will look at the back of our credit card, our debit card, and call that phone number. Don't trust these text messages. Please don't trust these text messages. Call the number on the back of your card. There, you know, it could be legitimate. It very well could be. But to be smart and be safe, call the number on the back of your credit card. Because what these people will do, if you call this number, they will pretend to be PNC Bank, and then they will ask you certain questions to get access to your account. And they will be in the background accessing your account online on their computer while they're sitting there giving you this junk about this charge. And then they'll take your money. Okay? So we don't want that. Okay, let's go back, Bradley. Okay, click on the incorrect phone number one. Okay. This is a big one. We call it, in the tech industry, we call it the wrong number scam. Okay? Basically what that means is that you will get a text message from a random number that you don't know, that's not in your contact list. And they'll say, hey, Christy, this is Julie. I'm on my way. Or, hey, Bob, how about that vacation to Vegas? Are you good for that? Or, can you make sure you bring milk home? And what they want to do is they want you to engage. They want you to respond to them. Because if they get you to respond to them, they'll start off a conversation. And then they will lead you down a trail to scam you. So please, please, please don't respond to these text messages. I know it's human nature. If someone sends a message to sit there and say, oh, no, you have the wrong phone number. They're banking on that. They want you to respond saying they have the wrong phone number because then they go in all this. And then it goes on and on. Okay? So if you get a text number from an unknown number, just mark it as spam and move on. Just mark it as spam. Okay, we know about the USPS one, the fake delivery one, where, you know, we have a package waiting, and then we have to click on this link right here to get that package. One thing that you can tell that tells you this is fake, because it says it's USPS, but if you look at, this is called a URL, or a web address that you have to click on to go to a website. You see it says .cc, .cc. That's not a .gov account, which would be the United States Postal Service. And it's this package .pos.cc. That's the domain you're going to. So whoever owns that domain is the website you're going to. You're not going to the U.S. Postal Service website. And so what they'll do is you go to that website. After you click on it, they'll say, okay, there's a fee for this package. Pay this fee, and you'll get your package. A package will never come. They will take the fee. Unknown caller, what we do with that? Okay, but we'll take that. What they'll do is you click on this. They'll go to a website. They'll get your credit card information. They'll take the $4 fee, and then 2 weeks down the road, you'll get a credit card charge for $600. Yes. Yes, that's effective. On your iPhones. I don't think Android has a report spam on messages. This is an iPhone. So yeah, click on report junk and delete. And what I sometimes do on my phone, if I look at my iMessage and I see the number there, and I know it's a number I don't know, and you know how you can see a little preview of it. If you swipe to the left and just hit delete, it'll show down at the bottom, delete and report junk. So that's what I do. Okay, so let's go back, Bradley. Okay, we're going to talk about telephone scams. So the first one we're going to talk about is the police or jury duty scams. Look at this one. This is from our good friends at the Moore County Sheriff's Office. Captain Bradley Whitaker. I'll let him speak on this one for you, everyone.
This is a very common scam that we see these days. Obviously, you know, if you're in North Carolina, if you are called for jury duty, you'll get a letter in the mail that comes from the clerk of court, but it'll have the sheriff's name on it, telling you got jury service. So if you get it in the mail like that, that is legitimate. But you get a phone call or you get an email saying that you missed jury duty that you've never, you know, received a letter for saying you had to be there, then it's going to be a scam. And what they do, they've actually gotten pretty clever. They'll actually go to our website. They can look at people on the command staff and see the name of us, and then they'll call and they'll impersonate us. A couple of weeks ago, I got a phone call from a gentleman down here in Pinehurst, and he said, I was just talking to you on the phone and I got cut off. And I said, well, you wasn't talking to me. And he goes to explain to me how that, you know, I'd called him and told him that he missed jury duty and he had to make a payment. And he was told by the scammer that he had to go to Walgreens and get a green dot card. And that's first red flag there. So, you know, thankfully for this gentleman that he called back because he got disconnected. And I was able to talk to him. I told him he was being scammed, not to give him any money. But it happens on a daily basis here in the county. We have people who are getting scammed. People who do the green dot cards. And what happens is these people are on the phone, they're threatening them, and they're talking really fast, and they're pretty much saying, you can't tell anyone, you know, you have to do this right now. Keep me on the phone the whole time. So they're trying to keep they're trying to stay on the phone with you so they know that you're not going anywhere else, and they're telling you, you've got a time limit. You need to do this, very quickly. And then you purchase that green dot card for $500, and they want you to give them the numbers off the back of it. And as soon as you do that, then that $500 is going to an account. Then they're moving it around. So if anyone ever tells you you have to do payment through a green dot card or like Apple Pay or any kind of money, credit cards, anything like that, then it's obviously a scam. If you were to miss jury duty, what would happen would the sheriff would knock on your door. They would give you a paper saying that you were subpoenaed for jury duty, you missed court, and it does happen. I'm not going to say too regularly, but the post office sometimes, your letter's not going to get to you like it should. So, there has been times where people missed jury duty but never got the notice, maybe because, the mailing address wasn't correct. But if you were to miss jury duty, then a sheriff would come out and hand you a paper. It'd be called an order to show cause. It's not an order for arrest. It's nothing you pay money to. It's just basically giving you another date for you to be there. But anytime with jury duty, we're not going to ask for money. We're not going to make you pay any money because you missed jury duty. Or, sometimes they'll do the same thing with a warrant. They threaten to get you locked up. In those situations, you can always just hang up, call the sheriff's office again. They might have gave you, someone's name who actually works there, because they are going online and actually getting names of people that do that. They call quite often and they say the sheriff's the one that's, call them, tell them they have money and stuff, but that's not going to happen. So just be real cautious of it. And like I said, if you have any questions, just call the sheriff's office, the main number. We can speak with you and, get everything worked out.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. 947 or 2931 is our main number. Yes, ma'am. And there is I did leave some pamphlets back there. If you look on the back of the pamphlet, there'll be information for our app. The sheriff's office does have an app. With that app, it will give you contact information. When we send out alerts like this, you can see those. There's links to it that you can see who's in the jail, the arrestees, and a lot of other information on that. So if y'all need help getting the app set up, just let me know when we get finished.
Back there in the back. Yeah, Southeast Asia, that's where a lot of them are. Yeah, no, that's true. One thing I want to bring up before we move in any further, kind of what Bradley was talking about with the gift cards. If you want to be a scam buster and help your neighbors out, if you're in Walgreens, grocery store, or pharmacy, or even a grocery store, and you see someone grabbing a bunch of gift cards, sitting on a cell phone, grabbing the gift cards, they're being scammed. So I'm not necessarily saying you should push them aside and say, hey, at least let a clerk know, let a store person know, let someone know. Yes, ma'am.
I went into Walgreens to buy some gift cards to some of my neighbors. He asked me questions.
Yeah.
And at first I was taking it back because I had bought cards in a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
But she just, after I realized that she was being concerned, making sure that I wasn't being scammed.
Yes, ma'am.
I was shocked.
Yeah, I'm hoping that happens more, because there are a lot of people who are being taken advantage of with gift cards, trying to, tell you need to make payments for your bond for a relative who's in jail, or a warrant to the sheriff's office or something like that. Another thing they also do is use cryptocurrency machines. So if you see someone sitting on the phone at a cryptocurrency machine with a large amount of cash in their hand and they're feeding that cryptocurrency machine, they're being scammed. Please alert the clerk. Please alert the clerk, because that's a dead giveaway. Because what happens is those scammers keep people on the phone because they keep you isolated. They're using that pressure to tell you have to do this. You can't tell anyone. You have to do this. If anyone asks you, just tell them you're sending money to your son overseas or something like that. And they're lying to you to tell you to lie to other people, but they don't want you to tell the truth, because if you tell someone, they'll sit there and say, that's a scam. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. And the scammers are very persistent. And,
Yes.
and we find a lot of times as family members call us because one of their family members is being scammed. And it is really hard to convince them that they're not being scammed. And, there's been times that we've told people they were being scammed. We've even retrieved some money after they'd sent it through the mail, and then only to find out a couple of days later, this person's called them back and convinced them again, and they send the money a second time. And then oftentimes, the family doesn't know until it's too late, and so they've lost a lot of their money. So they are very persistent, and sometimes it's hard to convince people that they're being scammed.
And we're going to actually get into that next. That's part of the pig butchering scam that Bradley's speaking about. This last one, if you get any kind of urgent call from a needing assistance from a family member or something like that, keep in mind that numbers can be spoofed, meaning they can be faked, meaning that Bradley can get a call from me and it's not really me, it's my number. But it will show up as my name on his phone, and he'll answer and it'll be muffled voice, and the guy will say, yo, we got your friend JD, he's here, we want money for him. And Bradley's like, I don't like JD anyway, hang up, No. But just keep that in mind. I know, kind of make a joke of, but it's a reality that's actually happening to people. So just be aware of that. So these are some of the social media scams that are out there. There are many more, but this is just a few that I've found. So a friend messaged you asking you to verify their account. This is something that happens a lot on Instagram and Facebook. And what will happen is that friend's account has already been compromised or taken over by a scammer. And they will say, I need you to verify my account. I'm going to get Facebook to send you a code. I need you to give me that code. Basically, what they're doing is they're trying to log in as you in Facebook, and Facebook is saying, please confirm your identity by verifying with the code that we just sent you. And you're giving that code to that person, and so that person has your account now. And with the way Facebook works, you probably won't get it back. So don't fall for that one. Don't fall for that one. Look out for messages from friends about earning money online, especially if they want you to get rich quick. That may not be your friend. That may be a scammer who's taken over their account. So be wary of that on social media. Friend requests or messages from public figures or celebrities. I know we think we all are awesome. We think we all are amazing. But I know for a fact that Holly Berry is not going to send me a message on Facebook thinking that I'm the most amazing guy in the world and wants to be my friend. Okay? I know that's not going to happen. So just keep that in mind. Just be smart about that, please. And I do have a handout with some of the most common celebrity impersonation scams that they use. Please look over those names and what methods they use. Friend requests are messages from very attractive individuals. This is getting to your pig butchering scams. So what they're going to do is they're going to message you and start love bombing you like I was talking about earlier. Talking about how amazing you are. You're such a wonderful person. And you're sitting there, taking all that in. Oh, this person really likes me. This is great. They will message you constantly. And then they'll say, let's move over to WhatsApp or Telegram or Zangy so we can have more personal conversation. If we hear that, what are we going to do? Are we going to move to Telegram, WhatsApp, or Zangy from Facebook? Okay. All right. I just want to make sure. Want to make sure y'all paying attention. So we're not going to do that. And chances are this person isn't real, and we know this person isn't real. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Bradley, you want to talk about pig butchering before me, or we want me to jump into it?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about it. So it's kind of an odd title to call it, but you think about, a pig. I don't know if any of you ever grew up on a farm, but you put the pig up in the pen and you're going to feed it for a while. You're going to fatten it up. You're going to try to make it as as tender meat as you can before you can have it slaughtered. And so it's kind of the similar situation. These are scams that they're working, and they'll work them for months and months at a time. But, you know, they'll start out by general conversations. They'll try to befriend you. You know, they'll communicate with you. They'll tell you about, you know, their lifestyle. They'll sometimes they'll talk to you about businesses that they do or financial investments that they make, and then they'll send you this information talking about how great these investments are. And then they're trying to get you to join on to the investment with them. You know, if you hurry up and do this, then you can jump on the bandwagon, and we're going to make a lot of money. And the whole thing behind this is by that time they've built a lot of trust with the person. So, you know, they talked to them, they shared information about their families, and, you know, and the one thing that the scammers always do is try to find out more about your family. They're trying to find out everything they can about you, and they'll try to use that against you. You know, your kids would really like it if you did this, or, you know, I think that, you know, you should do this. And, but they're building this big scam up, and it's going to take them a long time. And sometimes, you know, it's several scammers working together. They'll have you reach out to someone else, and that person's in on it too. And then, you know, it goes on for a while and a while. And eventually what's going to happen is they're going to build enough trust, get you to commit, whether it's, you know, giving your life savings away, or having you send $50,000, you know, as an investment to get in part of this company that they're starting up. And it's really heartbreaking when you talk to some of the people who's actually fell from it. Sometimes they'll use the romantic aspect of it. You know, you'll have someone who's maybe a widow, or you know, and this person's coming into their life, and they're giving them all this attention. They're telling them they want to spend a lot of time with them, but they're currently overseas, and they need money to get back over here, or they got held up in customs. But it's one thing after another. You know, one reason or another that they'll keep using excuses to drag it along. Like if, you know, you think you're going to meet them, and they'll tell you that they're coming, but, you know, it's one tragedy after other that keeps it from happening. But it will keep going on as long as you let it. And usually what happens, these are found out about by a family member once all the money's taken away from them. And like I said, it's very, very heartbreaking. We came in this morning and had a report that we had a lady down here in Pinehurst who thought that she was in a relationship with a Kid Rock. And over the last several years that she's been sending money to them, and estimated about $200,000 that she has lost. And, you know, sadly, you know, these things are going overseas, or the money that she's getting them is being converted to cryptocurrency, and there's nothing we can do to get that money back for her. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. And be wary if you know someone, or you yourself have been involved with this situation, and you've given money to these scammers or done cryptocurrency with them. There are websites out there and organizations that will offer to recover your funds. No. I am part of a subreddit on Reddit called Scams, and this guy posted a message yesterday. He lost $200,000 in a crypto scam. And then he lost $25,000 on the recovery scam, because he posted that he lost the $200,000, and somebody reached out to him and said, I can get that money back for you. And he said, it's going to cost you this amount of money to get your money back. He pays the money. And then they said, well, I've run into security issues. We're going to need you to send more money for this. He pays more money. And that's get you with that. And the thing about it is, what you got to remember, when people are in these situations like this pig butchering scam or the crypto recovery scam, they're kind of in a tunnel, in a silo. So they're not always necessarily thinking straight, in a sense. So they often isolate themselves. So if you have someone who's isolating themselves, not really talking to family, you notice some potential financial issues, or they're asking for money, and they typically don't ask for money, and they're asking for significant amounts of money, think about it and consider that they may be involved in one of these. And I'm not saying they're a bad person for that. They're just falling for the intrigue or the romance or however you want to put it that's going on. But yeah, this talks about the pig butchering scam, how it works. Initial contact is usually made via social media, dating apps, or text messaging. The wrong number scam can lead to this. Rapid relationship building with frequent messaging. That's the love bombing that I'm talking about. So they sit there and intensely send you messages. And what's wild is kind of like what Bradley was talking about. Sometimes this is more than one person sending you messages. That's why they like to use text messages, because they can look back on the history and see what the other person typed you, and they can continue it on. So just keep that in mind. Another thing that they do is they will send you videos of them or who they say is them. Remember, AI exists, artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence can make anyone look like anybody, even videos. It used to just be pictures, but now they can do videos of people talking to you. Like videos of the Elon Musk scam has gone around, and there are videos of who appears to be Elon Musk talking to people, telling them, yeah, invest in this opportunity. It's going to make you millions of dollars. And it wasn't him. So,
And like he said, the IA is something that we've seen, the artificial intelligence, over the last several years, and it's really scary. You know, part of our duties is we work internet crimes against children also. So we're in these chat rooms, and, you know, before we used to have to get older pictures, and it was kind of hard to show someone or pretend like I'm a 14-year-old boy. But now I can take a picture of myself, use a computer program to have it make me look like a 14-year-old, and then I can send that picture to someone, you know, if I'm chatting with them about, you know, some sexual activity or something like that. So it makes it easier for us, but it makes it easier for everyone else. So it's really scary, and it's hard to know what's real and what's not. You know, you see some pictures out on social media, you know, they might be making fun of Trump or something like that, and, you know, making him look like a king, or, you know, have them with all the animals. Well, those are IA generated. Someone can sit here and say, I want to draw a picture of this, and then, you know, the computer is going to make whatever image you want it to make. So you have to be cautious to know that everything these days that you see with your own eyes isn't actually true. And scams have been around a long time. You think Bernie Madoff and, you know, those Ponzi schemes he did. I don't know, maybe 25 years ago, I fell victim to a scam. I was reading the Steals and Deals, and there was a little ad in there about you can get a part-time job stuffing envelopes, and you can make so much money. You know, send them $50, and I sent them $50, and I mailed the check to one state, and then about a week later, I saw where the check was deposited all the way across the country. And, you know, it's kind of a network. And that's one thing that we see a lot of times is, you know, when you're scammed and you send your money to some person, that person's also a victim of the same scam. We had a lady up here in the northern end of the county not too long ago who was getting a lot of packages in. And she thought that it was part of her job that she was hired to do online, but she would get the packages from one person, and then she would turn around and mail it to someone else. So every time this person was getting scammed, and they thought that this was the lady in Robbins that was doing the scam, but in fact, she was also being scammed too. So she would get the stuff, she would send it to someone else, and it pretty much left her holding the bag because everything was being traced back to her. And oftentimes, you know, what they're doing is they're getting, you know, one of those, like the text message scams, you know, where, you know, you start talking to someone who just out of the blue texts you and gives you this opportunity. And that's a lot of times how those get started, that, you know, she's just getting stuff and she's just pretty much forwarding it to someone else, to some address, and she don't really know who she's talking to. It's really, really elaborate. Not too long ago, and what we've started seeing here recently is people actually start showing up to your houses now. We had a lady in Carthage who was being scammed, and they told her to put some money on the front porch. And she put money on the front porch, and wasn't long after that, a young man showed up in the neighborhood, and actually our sheriff was the one who called him. Saw the guy sitting there, and he wouldn't talk to the lady. Asked her what's going on, and she said, well, so-and-so's, you know, told me to put this on the front porch. They'd already taken some money out of her card from her account from the credit union. And she said, they told me to put this on the front porch. Well, he leaves the house and goes up to the next house and sees a car in the driveway, pulls up, and it's some kid from Miami, Florida, about a 23-year-old kid who answered an ad to come up here and pick up money. Now, I feel like he probably knew more than what he was telling us, but he had a lot of cell phones in the car, brand new cell phones, and that's one of the things that we see a lot of times that they use for scams. They'll either pay them with a new cell phone, or scam people and they go buy new cell phones. That way they can turn around and resell those, and they can't be traced. We've had that. We've had a lady up in the northern end of the county who got scammed for some money. Her family reported it. They found out that they were asking her to get $19,000 in cash, and that they were going to come pick it up at the house. And then people got in place, and this Jeep with an Asian male showed up, and we arrested him for that. He was from New York, and same thing. He answered an ad, and he was working, to come down there and pick up this money, and that he would, get paid $500 just for doing that quick job. So it is something that you have to be cautious about. That's something that's fairly new. It used to be just all on the internet, but we have actually seen some people showing up. If they're asking you to put money outside or do stuff around your house, and be extra cautious on that.
Yeah. All right. So as far as the pig butchering scam is concerned, just a few things to know. If you have someone in your life who may be falling for one of these, this is a big one right here. They log into this platform where they're investing this money, this cryptocurrency, and they say, oh, I put in $400 and now it's showing I have $5,000 in there. And they're like, yeah, I'm making money for it. And what sometimes these scammers will do is they'll say, why don't you invest $200? And then the scammer will give them $300 back. And they'll be like, oh, this is real. I can get money. And they say, well, invest more money in there. And then they put in $2,000, $3,000. And the profile will show profits, showing like they, put in $2,000, you have $10,000 in your account. And you're like, oh, I have $10,000 in my account. I want to withdraw that money. I want my $10,000. So guess what happens? You go in this thing to withdraw your money for $10,000, and it says, oh, you owe a service fee of $1,500. And you put your $1,500 in, and then it says, and then you say, okay, withdraw my money. And then say, oh, this is an international transaction. You need to pay $2,000 for the international transaction fee. And so you pay $2,000. And see, what they do is they keep getting you to pay more and more money. So just be aware of that. I know everyone in here is a scam buster now. You're not going to fall for these, but just for your loved ones, okay? Just for your loved ones. Okay, these are the warning signs to watch for as far as the scams are concerned. Setting new online friend or romantic interest. Pressure to invest crypto or Forex, which is a form of crypto. Platforms that are not well known and cannot be verified. That's where they usually put the money on. Requests to keep investment secret. This is a big one too. They want you to keep it secret. They don't want you to tell anybody because someone sit there and say, one of my scam busters here will sit there and say, that JD guy said this may be a scam. You don't need to be doing that. So that's why they want to keep it secret. They want people to keep it secret. They don't want people to tell others about it. Okay, and then we talked about the inability to withdraw money. Okay, now we're going to talk about recovering from a scam. So if yourself or someone you love is a victim of a scam, and remember, like I said, don't belittle them because it happened. It happens to the best of us. We all can be a victim. Bradley told you about his story. Anybody's susceptible to this. I'm susceptible to these. So just keep that in mind, okay? So first thing we want you to do is stop all contact with the scammer. Cut off all contact. Once you realize, like if you're in this class right now, in the back of your head, you're sitting there thinking, I talked to that guy on WhatsApp the other day, and we did this investment thing, and this might not be real. If you feel that's happening, if that's you, please stop contact with him and talk to this young man immediately. If you don't want to talk to him here, he gave you the number, his card's on the table, call him and get something started. Please, 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 please. Okay, we want to report the scam to the Federal Trade Commission and the Internet Criminal Crimes Commission that's part of the FBI and the local law enforcement. You want to freeze all your accounts and monitor your credit. So you want to do a credit freeze is what it's called. So you want to contact the 3 credit reporting agencies. You can do it online and freeze your credit. I always advise people, unless you're actively buying something, a big cost like a car or a house or some type of huge payout like that requires credit, freeze your credit. It doesn't hurt to have your credit frozen. Freeze your credit with all 3 credit reports. That's going to lessen the likelihood that you're going to have some issues with your credit. Seek emotional support from your friends and family. These scams are very traumatic. Okay, and if you really want to invest, please learn about legitimate investment opportunities. Okay, this is talking about helping a relative involved in a scam. And this is also for you if you feel you are a victim of a scam. Be gentle with yourself. Don't judge yourself. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Like I said, anyone can fall victim to these. Share factual, verifiable information to your relative. Emphasize common scam tactics, show examples. Like I said, this PowerPoint will be available to anyone who wants it. Just let me know. Offer support and not blame. Encourage reporting and recovery steps, meaning you want to let this gentleman know, his people know that this person has been involved in a scam and see what they can do to help them. Now, as far as recovering money, that's not always going to happen. If anyone guarantees you that they're going to recover money from you, it's a scam. Okay, final thoughts on pig butchering scams. They're sophisticated, emotionally manipulative. Awareness and education are the best defense. That's what we're doing now. We're being made aware, we're educating ourselves. Be vigilant, protect loved ones, and report suspicious activity. Okay. Okay, tips. If you suspect you've been targeted by a scam, cease all communications, as we said. Avoid any further interaction. Contact your local law enforcement and notify your bank's fraud department to report any suspicious activity with your banking account. Once you do that, submit an online complaint to the Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3, by this address. And this one at the bottom, this right here, Operation Shamrock, they're more on the lines of your crypto scams. So if you report crypto scams to them, then they may be able to offer assistance in terms of moving forward from that. I'm not saying they'll be able to get your money back, but they have a lot of resources that can help you. Here's some U.S. government reporting resources. Since I have a partnership with the United States Secret Service, these are some sites that they've given me to forward on to you. About phishing emails, we talked about earlier, identity theft, Federal Trade Commission, and elder fraud hotline, part of the consumer reports line for the Federal Trade Commission. Okay, this is their website. This is the email address for the United States Secret Service out of Charlotte. So you're it's okay for you to reach out to them if you want to. This is a QR code. I don't know if it's going to get it because it's kind of cut off there at the bottom, so it may not get the whole QR code. If it doesn't work, don't worry. Like I said, as part of my slide presentation, I will make it available for everyone. Last but not least, this is my email address. If anyone's interested in reaching out, they have any questions, please reach out to me. I will not, be upset if you have bunches of questions. That's what I'm here for. This is kind of like a personal thing for me. So you can contact me at contact@scambusterpro.com. I like that name. So just contact me at that email address. This QR code right here, if you capture this code with your cell phone, it's going to bring you up to a link that's going to offer you a subscription to my Scambuster Pro newsletter. So I have a newsletter that's coming out monthly that's going to give tips on scams. So if you're interested, you're more than welcome to subscribe to it. If you don't want to, that's fine too. If you click on this, it's going to bring up a prompt saying you want to subscribe to the Scambuster newsletter, and then you're going to get an email confirming your subscription, and then you'll start getting the subscriptions as long as you confirm. This is totally free. There's no charge for any of this, so no compensation whatsoever is expected. But that's all I have for this presentation. I would like to say thank you to everyone for coming. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, I have a neighbor, travels the world,
Yes.
Europe, Far East, and wherever. And he traveled by airline. What happened is, he claimed, told me that someone can buy in one of these airports, they have scanners now. If they can go by, they don't have to pick a pocket. They can just scan your credit card or whatever within your pocket, Is there any truth in that?
Yes. That's RFID scanners. And what you need to do is have a wallet or a purse that offers RFID protection. So if someone was, it's called skimming. If someone wants to skim my card right now, it wouldn't work because this is an RFID blocking wallet. You can get them on Amazon. No. Yep, that one does. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, this one does it too.
And it's kind of really the same technology as what you see at the gas pumps, the little skimmers that they put on there where they can read, if you're not cautious on the gas pumps, they can put it when you put your credit card in there, it actually reads the information off of that. So, yeah. So, well, the gas station a lot of times is put on there without their knowledge. So, it'll like stick out, be a little piece like that. And so, if you see something like that, if you can pull it off from the gas pump, then it wasn't supposed to be there. But just, be cautious. If you see the one, that's where you can just put your card up to it and it kind of reads it without actually having to swipe it, those are a little bit more safer than actually putting it in there. I see the gentleman in the back. I know you had your hand up. Some of it depends on how much stuff's in there, but yeah, if they got like depending on the device, they just have to be pretty close to it. So, I mean, even something's in front of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know Dollar General a lot of times too will, not let you get gift cards with cash now. Then they're trying to, do that where you have to use like a debit card or something.
Yeah.
Well, they're not scammer websites. They're legitimate websites, but scammers use those websites. So there is some legit. I don't know much about the Zangy, but like the Telegram and WhatsApp. I mean, a lot of people use them, like you said, overseas, or for messengers and stuff like that. So people use it for legitimate purposes too. But a lot of times that the scammers are using that platform, and so like WhatsApp's not aware of what's going on. I'm sure they know that there's a lot of scams that people are using it for that purpose, but they're not actually involved in the illegal activity.
Mm-hmm. The ones as far as reporting to, let's say, the sheriff's department or somebody like that, is when you're involved in the scam as far as a victim. If you reporting to others, you report them through your email service provider. You just report it as spam. Or like this young lady said about the text messages, you can report junk on the text message. Yeah, usually what they do is they have something called an algorithm which is a computer program that reads these emails that are reported as junk and says, okay, the email comes and it looks this way and it has this wording in here. It's going to compare those emails to other emails you get, and it's going to put them into what's called a junk folder or a spam folder. So you shouldn't see them after a while. Yes, sir.
I hope this is not off subject. There's a lot of problems with mailing checks
Yes.
to the post office. You think about that, you have to protect ourselves from that. We're actually afraid to use the post office anymore to send a check.
Yeah.
Yep. Brad, well,
There's not a whole lot of option. You know, the Postal Service, you think of the majority of letters that go to the right spot, but we see it commonly, especially around Christmas time, like Christmas cards, birthday cards, you know, are going to someone and then they're getting stolen through the mail. And there's not a whole lot that we can do as far as that. But, you know, you speak about checks. Well, a personal check, they're convenient, but they're an easy way to get someone's identity. Several years ago, I worked a case where a young man, and he was only about 20 at the time, he got called to do jury duty, went for jury service, and then the clerk of court mailed him a check for $12. Well, he was a little smarter than what a lot of people give him credit for, but he knew how to get the banking account number and the routing account number off the bottom of that check. And he started creating checks using the clerk of court's account and was writing them everywhere, and he was buying all kinds of stuff. But if you look at the bottom of your check, and every check has it, all you need is the route and account number, and then the route number for the bank, and then the account number, and you can go to websites and you can put that information in there, and that's really all you need to pay a phone bill or something like that. So checks are not too secure, you know, if they get into the wrong hands. You know, the best suggestion we can give is, you know, monitor daily your banking accounts. Every so often, look at your credit report and just see if anything's showing up that shouldn't be. It happens every day that people are getting scammed, and there's not a lot of that we can do to prevent it. But, you know, the biggest thing that we hope to do is try to minimize the damage that they do. And a lot of times the banks, if they know it's a scam, they'll reimburse you. You know, you file a police report and, you know, they'll reimburse you for the money that you're out of. Yes, ma'am. Well, and that's possible. Certain ink that, you know, is safer than others. But if they're going to want to really scam it, then they'll just pretty much take like an image of it, put it into like a PDF scanner, and then edit, you know, the image that way. So they can block, you know, the writing off, but just at least use the information on the check. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Is that a iPhone? Okay. On your iPhone, in your phone settings, there is a setting that says silence unknown callers. And I can show it to you later if you want me to. If you turn that on, what that will do is any caller that's not in your contact list on your cell phone will go to the voicemail. Yeah. 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 And what's cool, it's a new iPhone update that's coming out in next month. We'll have a call screening feature on it. That what it will do, based on the rules that you set up, like someone who's not in your call list, it will go through a screening process where there's a AI that actually answers the call depending on what you want it to do. Like if the person's not on your contact list and they have their number blocked, you can set it where it blocks that call. Or if they're not on your contact list and it will go through the process of asking them questions about why they're calling. And usually the scammers, if they get some type of AI, they hang up. They don't want to deal with it. So there's call screening you can do, but for now with iPhones, you can do silence unknown caller. If you have an AT&T iPhone, You can do Active Armor by AT&T. It's a free app, and that will also filter your calls for you. The Android phones do have something as well called screening, but it's only on the Pixel Android phones. Samsung does have a call screening app as well. Yes, ma'am.
There's a company called Title Lock.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a legitimate concern that we know?
What have you heard about those? Because she's talking about the home title fraud that's going on. I think that's what you're talking about, correct?
We haven't really seen any here in our county, but I know Wake County, they had one a while back where they had that happen. I know the Register of Deeds office has a website that you can sign up for, where it will notify you. I think you put your address in there, your information, and it will notify you if someone files something, on your property. The Register of Deeds.
Yeah, I would trust the Register of Deeds before I trust a third party, because sometimes companies like that are charging you for a service you can get for free. So, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
What about the door-to-door mailers? If you say it's only cleaners, gutter cleaners, whatever the
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we used to have, they call them gypsies, they'd come around every so often and offer to paint your barns and stuff like that. And, a lot of times they'd do you a cheaper price than anyone else. But then after the first rain, a lot of it would kind of wash off and stuff. So, we don't see that as much as what we used to years ago. But yeah, I would probably get recommendations just before you hire someone. It's pretty common that there's people who come out and offer to put straw in your yard, and they'll spread pine straw and tell you they're doing it for this much amount. And at the end, they'll charge you more. People feel pressured to pay for it at that time. And so that's the scandal we've seen. So I would recommend staying away from those. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, well, go ahead. Yeah.
How safe do you think Venmo is? I have a Venmo account, son overseas. Would you get the Venmo account for me to send you birthday money? Is that safe?
Yes. From my knowledge, I use Venmo all the time and I haven't had any trouble. The biggest key is be sure you know who you're sending your money to.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the key with
It's
Cash App and Venmo.
it's a legitimate service. Comes in really handy sometimes, but just make sure that you know the person that you're giving it to. So, yes, ma'am.
You said there were 3 companies to watch your credit. What are the names?
The 3 credit reports.
Yeah, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. You're welcome. Okay.
Anyone else?
Any more questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
How often do you text these people?
A lot of it depends on the type of scam that it is. If it's someone local, then we can do it. A lot of times what we find is people overseas who are using a voice over, IP address. And so it looks like they're local, but they're actually overseas. And, once that money goes overseas, then we have no jurisdiction. There's nothing that we can do to get it back. If it's local people, they could be charged with, obtaining property by false pretense, which is a felony charge, but the punishment would depend on a lot of factors as far as their prior record. They could get probation, they could get some jail time. But most of the big scams that we see are pretty much organized people in the big organizations, that are working a lot of people. So, but.
Thank y'all for coming.
All right. Thank y'all. I appreciate you.
I looked up Active Armor and it's $129 as an alt.
No. Are you AT&T?
No, I'm, yeah, I am AT&T.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you to Veronica Sanchez at Home Choice Network for the lovely refreshments. So thank you so much. And thank you, gentlemen, for a very informative presentation.